Peugeot's largest EV van is this one, the e-Boxer. And in this usefully updated form, it's well worth a second look because it now has a considerably larger battery and a much more powerful electric motor. Peugeot's also given this LCV a sharper look and a more modern interior. Plus, it can take heavier loads too. In this improved post-2024 era form, Peugeot's enhanced e-Boxer offers a much improved EV drivetrain to suit businesses wanting a large electric van. Here, we'll take a closer look. Peugeot was certainly quick to market with this EV version of its large LCV, the Boxer. That electric model was first introduced in 2020, but never initially sold in very large numbers because of its high price, feeble pulling power, and rather restricted EV range. Forget about all of that now because this revised version introduced early in 2024 is much better. Vastly improved in all of these key areas. It now has the same 110 kilowatt-hour powertrain as is also used by the Citroën e-Relay, the Vauxhall Movano Electric, the Fiat e-Ducato and the Toyota ProAce Max Electric. And much the same engineering. So, why should you choose this Peugeot version? Here, we're going to try and answer that question. You can find out more about this kind of van by downloading the Car and Driving app, and if your interest is specifically in this e-Boxer, then you'll need to stay with us for the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test. This full electric e-Boxer variant now gets a much larger 110 kilowatt hour battery to replace the previous 37 kilowatt hour and 70 kilowatt hour battery options. And that new battery pack energizes a much more powerful 275 horsepower motor, up from 120 horsepower before. As a result, pulling power rises from 260 to 410 Newton meters of torque. The performance and range of the e-Boxer can be optimized depending on conditions, thanks to 3 driving modes, and features paddles located behind the steering wheel that activate 4 levels of regenerative braking, thus enhancing range, which is now rated at up to 263 miles, up from 154 miles in the old 75 kilowatt hour form. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 10 seconds en route to a top speed of just 81 miles an hour. There are 4 selectable levels of brake regeneration, which are operated by the paddles that I mentioned behind the steering wheel. Now bear in mind that, as usual with EV vans, the range figure will drop off quite a bit if you've a full load out back. This EV model's underfloor battery positioning results in a low centre of gravity, improving cornering and stability even when fully loaded. The electric power steering now automatically adjusts the assistance to the speed of the vehicle. This increases driving comfort at higher speeds and makes manoeuvring in the city more comfortable. As usual with EV vans, there's an electric parking brake activated via a switch on the instrument panel to the right of the steering wheel. With all Boxers, the way this van drives does show its age a little, but this van is quite light by segment standards, which helps it to feel quite agile, and it feels wieldy in town with supple suspension, the light steering I mentioned, and a relatively tight turning circle. There's no doubt that the range of drive assist systems have been dramatically improved as part of this update. If you've ticked the right options boxes, the combination of adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and newly added traffic jam assist enables this Peugeot to steer, brake and accelerate itself at speeds of up to 80 miles an hour, for example in slow traffic, provided that the driver's hands remain on the steering wheel at all times. This means that automated driving at level 2 is now possible with this Boxer for the first time in its career. Should your Boxer be likely to be used on slippery tracks or building sites, you can specify it with a work site heavy pack, which adds a traction system and double leaf rear suspension. As for towing, well, you might be surprised to learn that this e-Boxer can now handle a braked towing weight of up to 2,400 kilograms. In this updated form, the Boxer features the latest Peugeot brand shield logo and gets a redesigned front bumper, revised door mirrors and a smarter body colour grille, incorporating automatically controlled sections to regulate airflow. All variants can also feature full LED front headlights, which are 30% more efficient than their halogen predecessors. As before, there's a multi-piece front bumper to minimise accident damage and reduce repair costs. The sheer size of this Boxer varies between three vehicle lengths, which vary between 5,358mm and 6,363mm in length. We've got the mid-level L3 version here, which is 5,998mm long. This Peugeot rides on either 15 or 16-inch wheels, and there are new rim and trim designs as part of this facelift. The height of the bluff rear end varies between the three available heights. We've got the mid-level H2 version here. Next to this e-Boxer badge, there are revised rear tail clusters. There's also a high-level stoplight, which as usual is well out of harm's way. The key differences though lie inside. Let's take a look. Climb up into the cab, and you'll find that the interior has been extensively overhauled with fresh design for the steering wheel, dashboard, seat fabrics and door panels, all of which helps to disguise the basic age of this Boxer's interior architecture, as does the installation of modern era central infotainment screens. Mind you, the amount of screen tech you actually get depends quite a lot on whether you paid the extra for an electrified powertrain. This e-Boxer gets this new 7-inch digital instrument cluster and bigger central screens too. Let's start with the 7-inch display that you view through the steering wheel, a screen that's optional on the diesel version. Now it's based around a central speedometer flanked on this electric model by a power meter and by a gauge for battery charge. You can vary what you see in the middle of the screen through trip computer, drive assist and audio settings. Plus it can show mapping and even an analog speedometer. Now everything else that you'll need to know will be on this central monitor, which grows from 5 inches in the diesel versions to 7 inches for the electric model. With both powertrains, it can be upgraded at extra cost to the 10-inch size that we have here. Whatever kind of central screen that you have, the most important functions can be controlled via now improved natural speech recognition, and compatible smartphones will now connect in wirelessly. That's via Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So it shouldn't matter too much that navigation costs extra, even with this bigger screen. This redesigned display is a big improvement on what was offered previously. You can scroll through lower screen audio, phone and vehicle menus, plus navigation if it's been fitted. And there's a dedicated electric vehicle section for this EV model. You sit commandingly, and the driver's seat is very comfortable with 6-way adjustment, lumbar support and an armrest, though there's no option for the kind of sophisticated multi-sprung seat that you could have in a rival Volkswagen Crafter. Now, as you'd expect, this Boxer features a dual passenger seat, and as usual in this class of van, the backrest of the centre seat folds down to create a work surface with a pen tray and a couple of cup holders. A digital rearview mirror is now available, as is a 360-degree camera system. Both things have been fitted here. As you'd expect in a large van, there's plenty of in-cab storage. Some of the stowage areas are much use, like the shallow cubbies on the dash top or the one next to the electronic handbrake switch. But there are no fewer than 4 levels of stowage in the doors, and you get 2 glove boxes, a lidded one on the dash top and a rather small lower one below this open stowage area in front of the front passenger. A stowage cubby has been added under the ventilation control panel, and this can accommodate a wireless charging mat if you've paid the extra for it. This upper central cup holder has a 12-volt socket nearby, and you could add USB-A and USB-C ports here too. Lower down there's also a tray with two more cup holders and a stowage space in between, and you get ticket clips in the sun visors and a coat hook on each B pillar. Disappointingly, you have to pay extra for an overhead shelf, which is 22 litres in size, and for under seat stowage. We've got a tray under the driver's seat here. At the time of our test in autumn 2025, pricing for this electric e-Boxer was starting from around £46,000 after deduction of the government's £5,000 plug-in van grant. Now, most sales are of this volume L3H2 body shape, but you can choose between two body lengths, L3 and L4, and two roof heights, H2 and H3. The e-Boxer comes only with professional trim. We've got a 435 model 3,500 kilogram gross vehicle weight e-Boxer here, but most e-Boxers are chosen with a heavier 440 model 4,250 kilogram gross vehicle weight. By the way, there's just a single 110 kilowatt hour battery size on offer. If you don't want this Peugeot in this panel van form, you can also have it with either kind of powertrain in either window van or chassis cab form. Let's talk about spec, now much improved as part of this update. That single professional trim level includes most of what you'd need, specifically a side-loading door, rear parking sensors, powered heated door mirrors, a perimeter alarm, and cruise control with a variable speed limiter. Inside there's air conditioning and a 6-way adjustable driver's seat with lumbar support and an armrest. The electric models get a 7-inch digital instrument cluster too. This centre screen is 7 inches in size with this electric version. It includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and works with a global telematics box for fleet data monitoring. There's also the brand's My Peugeot smartphone app, allowing operators to interact with this van when they're away from it. This app allows access to information such as nearby charging stations. What about key options? Well, there's lots you can add, of course. You really ought to get a spare wheel, and you can also add a second sliding side door and 270-degree opening for these rear doors. The 270-degree opening feature comes incorporated within an optional cargo pack, which also includes a 12-volt socket and LED cargo area lighting. You might also want one of the Techno packs, which upgrade the center screen to 10 inches in size, give you extra charging ports, and can add a wireless phone charger. Now, various other options allow you to add a wireless phone charger, and a 230-volt cargo area socket is available too. You might want to look at adding a tow bar, a speed limiter, and a tachograph, and there's a single passenger seat option too, should you not want the standard two-person bench. Now, if you regularly deliver to building sites, you might want the Worksite Heavy Pack. Now, that gives you traction plus traction control, double leaf rear suspension, a spare wheel, and wheel arch mouldings. Owner drivers, well, they might want a Style and Visibility Plus pack, which adds 16-inch alloy wheels, painted bumpers, black skid plates, front fog lights, and full LED headlamps with high beam recognition. They might also possibly want the Premium Cab Pack, which adds a leather steering wheel, chromed air vents, a compartment under the driver's seat, and a rear view camera. That rear view camera can also be ordered separately or as part of a hands-free and camera pack, which also includes keyless entry, a wireless charging mat, and a double USB charging port. Diesel variants can be had with a conversion pack, which includes a transformation socket, a 220A alternator, and a 105AH battery. But don't tick the box for any of those things until you've decided whether you want the optional L2 autonomous driving pack, as quite a few key extras, including those two things, come with that, along with various L2 camera drive assistance aids. On to safety provision. Now, it wasn't long ago that all you got on a Boxer was a driver's airbag and passive safety stuff. Now there are double passenger airbags, advanced emergency braking, lane keep assist, driver drowsiness detection, and traffic sign recognition, which drives an intelligent speed assist system. If you have a tow bar fitted, a trailer stability control system will be fitted too. As usual, there are the familiar systems for traction, braking and stability control, with the latter ESC system now featuring crosswind assist, which works at over 40 miles an hour to stabilise this high-sided vehicle in crosswinds. With regard to safety provision, you can of course go a lot further than that. Peugeot says that a total of 22 possible assistance systems and electronic helpers are now available on this Boxer to make driving and manoeuvring easier. An optional City Visibility Plus pack includes a blind spot assist setup, rear cross path detection, 360-degree parking sensors and a digital rear view mirror, along with full LED headlights, front fog lamps, high beam recognition and power folding mirrors. On to practicalities. As we told you in our market section, there are three wheelbase lengths: L2, L3, which is what we have here, and super long L4. And you can get three roof height formats: H1, H2, which is what we have here, and high roof H3. On to gross vehicle weight. This e-Boxer can also be had in 3.5 ton form, but it's usually primarily ordered in 4250, 4.25 ton gross vehicle weight guys. Let's pull back these double rear doors, which usually open out to 180 degrees, though we'd suggest that you consider the optional 270-degree opening setup, which allows them to be pushed back a lot further. Now, let's get on to this Peugeot's load dimensions. Cargo load area length is 3,705 millimeters in this L3 version, and as much as 4,070 millimeters in the longest L4 variant. With all body shapes, there's 1,870 millimeters of load area width, narrowing to 1,422 millimeters between the wheel arches. Load area height is 1,932 millimeters with this H2 version, and as much as 2,172 millimeters with the H3. Across the mainstream part of the range, with the two longest wheelbases and the two highest body heights, loading capacity varies between 11.5 cubic meters and as much as 17 cubic meters. This typical L3 H2 version can take 13 cubic meters. If you're opting for this e-Boxer, you'll be pleased to find that its EV powertrain doesn't compromise load volume. That's because the drive system's lithium-ion battery is mounted under the floor between the front and rear axle, and so doesn't impinge on the cargo bay. Now, you might think that choosing an electric van rather than a diesel one would mean the need to compromise a bit on payload, which for this e-Boxer panel van is restricted to between 710 kilograms and 1,460 kilograms, the latter figure applicable to this L3H2 variant. Actually, though, that's slightly more than an equivalent manual gearbox diesel Boxer with this same L3H2 body shape, which is rated at 1,425 kilograms. Other large EV class vans do better though. An equivalent electric Renault Master E-Tech manages 1,625 kilograms. The payload advantage of choosing a Boxer in diesel form is that it is possible to get a version that could take much more. The biggest L4 H2 diesel model can take up to 2,050 kilograms. All Boxers get this single sliding side door. The second one is optional on the other side. It pulls back to reveal an aperture 1,250 millimeters wide, so a forklift could get a pallet in. The aperture height is 1,485 millimeters with the rare H1 version, but it's more likely to be this 1,755 millimeter height, which is what you get with this H2 or with the H3 body shape. There's the usual full height bulkhead, but no option for a flap that would enable you to push lengthy items into the cab. Above the bulkhead is a wide shelf, a very useful place to store the charging leads in this electric version. Only two dim lights are provided as standard. We'd want the optional LED lighting, but Peugeot does provide plenty of tie-down points. There are no fewer than 15 of those in this L3H2 model. You might also want to add an optional 230 volt socket. It helps to easily charge electric devices such as laptops, electric tool batteries, tablets and other low power appliances that require electricity up to 150 watts. Now you might want to consider Peugeot's optional cargo pack. That includes the 270-degree rear door opening we mentioned earlier, a 12-volt socket and LED cargo area lighting. We'd also suggest that you add the ply lining pack that's been fitted here to guard the cargo area from scrapes and dents. Obviously, the WLTP EV range figures from this Peugeot's 110 kilowatt-hour battery, only 97.8 kilowatt-hours of which is actually usable, depend on the body shape you've chosen, anything between 235 and 263 miles according to WLTP figures, the latter figure applicable to this L3 H2 version. As with all EV vans, that would rise substantially in city-only use, of course, in this case to as much as 334 miles. The e-Boxer was the first Peugeot to offer the option of public DC charging with up to 150 kilowatts. As a result, at a public fast charging station, it only takes 55 minutes to recharge to 80% of the battery capacity. AC charging is now aided by the standard inclusion of an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. If you're able to three-phase charge from an 11 kilowatt wall box, you can replenish the entire battery in 6 hours and 5 minutes, down from the lengthy 16 hours 40-minute time that you'd need from a more typical single-phase 7.4 kilowatt AC wall box. A dedicated electric vehicle part of the central screen enables you to plan your charging regime, plus it includes a power flow graphic. The service intervals for this e-Boxer are much more frequent than those of the diesel, every year or 16,000 miles, whichever comes first. All Boxers get the usual unremarkable 3-year 100,000 mile Peugeot warranty. And this e-Boxer also has an 8-year 100,000 mile warranty for its dry battery. It's a pity that this heavily improved version of the e-Boxer wasn't the one we were offered from the very beginning. As it is, this revised model's arrival must have been welcome for Peugeot's LCV dealer network, who didn't have much luck in shifting the original version of this model in an LCV market that's proved slow to get on board with the EV revolution. Yes, you'll find other near-identically engineered Stellantis Group large vans that can offer you much the same kind of package. But if your fleet already runs Peugeot vans, and particularly e-Partner and e-Expert models, well, it would make sense, wouldn't it, to keep things common and add a few e-Boxers as well. That was the argument before this update, of course. Now, though, it makes just that little bit more sense.